Hi everyone, I've been catching up on my bookkeeping because my company year finished, end of May, and I thought you guys might be interested in which of my 7 books over the 7 years that I've been running my business, it's basically a book a year, which of these are profitable and which ones are not, because they are definitely not all profitable, and that's realistic. Sometimes you'll have a book that sells really well, sometimes you'll have one that doesn't, and that might be something you can predict or something that you can't predict. It's just realistic. And so I thought today I would share with you which of my books are doing well and which ones not so much and why. Let's get into it with my very first book, Milk. This came out in 2018. It's part memoir, part sort of non-fiction, factual stuff about breastfeeding. And this was such a beautiful book to bring out as my first book because it means so much to me. And this was the book that got me to sit down and write and to push to have this book out in the world. And so I have no regrets about this book. My whole career as an author would not have happened without this. I say all this because this book is not profitable and I don't think it ever will be. I will say, before I get into it, by the way, I had these little display copy stickers made by my friend Eleanor. She runs a company called Whispering Wren, and amongst other things, she does some business supplies. And these are really handy for events and things, so people know that that's a display copy. They don't try to buy it. They know they can pick it up and touch it and stuff. So these are my display copies that I'm showing you today. Anyway, firstly, with this book, I spent a lot of money on it and I don't regret it. So I had 2 rounds of editing, which is expensive for this length of book. I had it copy edited and then proofread. And frankly, as a new author, I needed that. These days, I would probably use beta readers and something like Pro Writing Aid and then just go to a final proofread. But maybe I wouldn't, I don't know. I don't regret it because it got it into the shape that it's in and it was needed in some form. And at that point, I didn't have the skill set to get it to as good of a state without that help. Editors are fantastic. So yeah, 2 rounds of editing plus professional cover design and interior formatting, and that's for the ebook as well. So I spent a lot on getting this book prepared. The flip side of that in terms of sales, it sold relatively well initially, but obviously bear in mind, it's my first book. I had not a very big audience and it's a niche topic. I mean, we could sit here and I could talk all day about the fact that I don't think it should be a niche topic and so on, but there are not huge amounts of people who are wanting to buy this book. I knew that. I knew it sat in a niche. I knew that I didn't have a massive audience. So none of this was a surprise to me. However, when this book came out end of 2018, I did not expect that in the beginning of 2020, we would have a global pandemic, limiting my ability to go to things like breastfeeding conferences, parent groups, birth type events. So that limited how much I could get this book out there. And it's an old book now, 7 years old. So I still think it's very relevant, but that is going to factor in. And the sales of this book have slowly declined, as you would expect really for something that was of a time, I suppose. As we speak, this book is approximately £2,000 in the negative. I do hold some stock of it, so that factors in. I think I've got about 30 or 40 copies, but realistically, I sell 1 or 2 copies of this a month, and at that rate, it's going to take a very long time to lose that money. So I don't think this will ever break even, but I love this book and I wouldn't be where I am without it. And sometimes investing in your first book as a start to a business is not a bad thing. So no regrets, but not profitable. I then brought out my second book, or actually I think I have the first edition here, do I? Yes, I do. So the first edition was this one of Lily the Limpet Gets Lost, which is a little children's book about rock pools. And then I republished it. So this was 2019. And then the second edition came out in 2021, I think. So this is the second edition. You can tell because the fonts are different. And also this one is a higher quality print. So this book is right now not profitable. However, there is a reason for that. I recently did a new print run for 1,000 copies. So before that, it was profitable. This book always sells well. Those sales add up, and it actually won't be long until I've paid off the second print run of this book, and then it will start earning money again. So this book will always do okay. I find people are attracted to it when I do events. This one was my bestseller for a long time. It's not anymore, but it does well. It will continue to do well. I hold a lot of stock right now because of having a reprint, but I will sell that stock absolutely no problem in time. So right at this second as we speak, it's not profitable over the course of its existence because I spent a lot of money recently. This book also has a hardback, which adds to the investment because hardbacks are expensive. I've only ever done one print run of these, and actually I think there's only about 30 left. In fact, it might even be less than that. There aren't many hardbacks left. Will I get another print run of hardbacks? Don't know. Maybe not. I think they're nice as a gift. They sell very slowly. Not sure. I will make the decision when the time comes. By the way, there is a magpie in the garden because whenever I film, wildlife decides to make my life difficult. If it's not my own chickens or my dog, it's the wildlife. So apologies if you can hear the magpie hanging out outside. Right, my third book, Milk and Cookies. So this was to bring together the two books that I'd already written. So it is a children's book about breastfeeding to kind of try where I had two quite different existing books to have something that brought those together. Also because I felt that this was a really important book to exist to help children have conversations about breastfeeding. So yeah, this was a really, really lovely book to work on. This was my first project with Rhiannon Thomas. This book has the most beautiful double page illustrations, as does this one. Lily the Limpet was written with my sister-in-law, and we have a royalty share agreement. This was my first project with Rhiannon Thomas, and I paid her outright for this one, so it was a different arrangement with a bigger cost up front. This one I funded using a Kickstarter. So you might think, oh, well, that would be profitable then. You will have made loads of money. You're wrong. This one is not profitable. I know, my first 3 books that I'm talking about are not profitable. And why not? Well, again, this one was. I have bought more stock, so I bought another 1,000 copies of this, and so it's gone into the negative again. I think this one will make a profit again. The only reason why I have a different response to that as I do with this one is because this is more niche. This one sells a lot more slowly than this one. However, it does always steadily sell, and every now and again I get a random order for like 30 books for some specialist thing where they want a whole load of these. So yeah, I think over time, much more time than this one, but over time this one will sell. And this one has a hardback as well. I've got more of the hardback of this than I do of Lily. I haven't sold as many of those, but it does exist in hardback too. Again, would I get that reprinted? Not sure, because it sells very slowly and is expensive. My next book, self-publishing. You're going to say, come on, surely you're going to have made some money. Wrong. This book is also in the negative over the grand scheme of time. Why? Well, this book, I recently had an audiobook made, and that is expensive. I also had to pay to change the cover because I've changed the price, and so therefore I had to upload a new cover file. So I've had to do revisions on this, the hardback version. I actually don't have a paperback near me. So I've just had a few little expenses. This one had no kind of funding, so I paid outright for, what did I pay for? Editing. I also commissioned the artwork here and here, but I formatted the cover and the interior. And I'm pretty sure it was only one round of editing. I think so. Perhaps not. Perhaps I did have more than one. Yeah, no, it was only one. I think I had copy editing and then I proofread it myself. So that is that one. Now, this one will break even and start to make a profit. Okay, maybe not. Here's the thing I haven't talked about on the internet yet of my plans with this book. I am currently writing a second book in this series, and when I bring out that second book, I think, I haven't decided for sure, that I'm going to redo this cover again so that I don't want a whole bunch of white books, and so I might add some coloured strips or something. Or I might have a designer kind of add some embellishments to it, because also I have to say a white book on an Amazon listing or something like that does not look very good. So something around the edge would actually be a really good addition. And I also have a couple of tiny edits I want to do to the text, not an awful lot. So I'm thinking that when I bring out the next book, I will probably do a second edition of this, and in which case it will cost me even more money. However, I keep this one relatively cheap, and I have every faith that this one will sell, because it does all right at events, it sells online. Again, this is one that just slowly will pay back. So to recap those first four very quickly before I go into the last three that are all quite similar to each other. So Milk cost me a lot, will not earn the money back. Lily the Limpet will earn its money back. It's just right now, because I've just bought a really big print run, it's slightly in the negative, so that will earn back. Milk and Cookies is more in the negative than Lily is, and sells more slowly, but over a longer time. Like Lily will be profitable soon, Milk and Cookies will take longer. But again, I think both of those will be profitable, and in the long term will be profitable. This one also, because I have had some costs incurred with it, although it had paid off what I'd invested in it initially from the art and the editing, I'm back to being in the red again. I'm sure that all of this is telling you that I have not, over the course of my business, made vast amounts of money if having a big expense pushes that book back into being negative again. But I've been honest about that on here. I made a video, oh, my hair's caught my earring. I made a video when my business broke even. I talked about how difficult things were over COVID, been very honest about all of that. I'm getting to a position now where things are picking up. I have a bigger audience. I'm using meta ads. All of my books are selling much better than they ever have done, and things are picking up. But over the years to date, as I've also only been doing this part-time as well, it's been slow, gradual growth, but all of those just need a little time to pay off the expenses that I've had literally over about the last 18 months. I have bought so many books. I've bought thousands and thousands of books in storage. So I've invested in stock, because going forward, that's going to pay off. So that's where I'm at right now as a business. I don't need to buy any stock for quite some time. The next book I brought out was Secret Seagrass Meadows, and this is the first book that was sponsored by Natural England. So this had an investment, a little bit like Milk and Cookies had some form of investment, because this was a Kickstarter. So I had some money to help pay for the costs. Secret Seagrass Meadows is, I would say, my bestseller, although I think it's going to be overtaken by the newest one. This one does amazingly well. It sells really well online. It sells really well in person. This book does great. So good, in fact, that I've bought another 1,000 of these, and this book is not back in the negative. In fact, the ads that I run, this tends to be the featured product. And so I have offset the ads that I have run. That's taken into account when I'm talking about all of this money. So is the postage and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm talking about net here. This book has absorbed the cost of the ads, is making money, will still make money. This is a very good book, and nothing more to say about that. I will say these books, these Natural England ones, are single page illustrations. And these are also illustrated by Rhiannon Thomas with a real science feel to them. And then the second book in that series, Captivating Kelp Forest, again, this was funded by Natural England. This book is, as it stands, my book that has made the most money. Or is it? Let me check my figures very, very quickly, because actually, possibly not. Yeah, it is. The reason being, when I had all the funding from Natural England for this, I bought 1,000 copies straight away. Whereas with this one, I bought a shorter print run. I think I bought something like 400 and then another 1,000. So this one I bought more books, frankly. So yeah, and this one has not had as many of the ads offset against it, even though this one sells, because an ad for this one, people buy the second one. Does that make sense? So yeah, as a pair, these two have done very well. And then my most recent book, Our Living Soils, this one sells really well. This one it's my best ad on Facebook. It's performing amazingly. It's selling really, really well. Again, this was funded by Natural England. Little logo on the back. This one was digitally illustrated, so it's still single page illustrations, but they are digital instead of watercolors. And this one, I think this is going to overtake Seagrass. This one sells really, really well. I would say these two and Lily are my best sellers. And as time goes on, these are the ones that are going to be making me money. So particularly these two. So right now, these two are profitable. This one isn't, but this one will be, and everything will work out. By the way, I've written a second book to this one, and Yevgenia and I are talking about how we're going to move forward with that. So at some point, you may see a second to that one. The Seagrass, Meadows and Kelp books are a series, so at some point there will be more books in that series. And as I already said, I am currently writing the second book in this series. So we move. So that's where we're at. I wanted to make a video to be really honest that some books do well, some books don't. You don't really know what will capture people's imagination, what people will react to. I think you get a better sense of that, but also some books are creative or heart projects. Milk very much was, and I think Milk and Cookies to an extent was as well, really influenced by how passionate I am about families having support around their early days of having a baby, because it's hard, and my own experience was hard. So I want to be a part of that. And in a way, Lily the Limpet was as well. That was going back to my marine biology roots and, talking about an underrated marine species. And again, it's kind of a harder sell than something a bit more glamorous like Seagrass. So overall, I feel like I started off with projects that just got me into it. Does that make sense? And that now I've found my feet, and other than Milk, all of these will be profitable. Milk and Cookies is a maybe, but the others absolutely definitely will be. It's just going to be a bit rocky, particularly for this one, for a little bit while I decide what I'm going to do to make like a series that look really pretty on the bookshelf. By the way, I will absolutely consider the fact that some people will have bought this edition of this book, and I will make sure that anything I do to the second one will sit next to this. So it will be okay if you've got the first edition. But yeah, there we are. I also have to think about the fact that because it's got an audiobook, if I make any changes, do I do a second edition of the audiobook? I really don't want to re-record the whole thing. So can I record snippets? I don't know. But these are all problems for another day. If you are self-publishing your own books, just, you will find the books that sell well and the ones that won't. You might be lucky, it might be your first book. You might not be, and it might take time, but you will get there. And if you're just having a nose, hi, I would too. So I love these kinds of videos. I'm planning next week, it depends how my maths goes, over the next week, how much time I have. I would like to make a video looking at what proportion of my income comes from what. So what percentage is book sales and what percentage is school visits and things like that. So I thought you might be interested. Let me know if that's a video you would like to see. And drop below, do you know what I was going to say? Drop your best sellers. Don't. Drop your worst sellers. And let's make a list in the comments and we can all support each other. And incidentally, if you want to buy any of the books that aren't profitable, I'll be ever so grateful. But actually buy any of my books and I will be grateful. And I'm waffling now. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon for another video. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I would love to have you as a subscriber to this channel. I'll see you all soon. Take care.